Welcome to the High Fae Housewives podcast. I'm Blakely.
And I'm Kylie.
We are currently working towards our Masters in the Maasverse. Our current course is focused on Crescent City, House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah Janet Maas. Today we're getting in... Fuck you! Today we're getting in the zone, auto zone, chatting chaps 41 through 48.
So close to getting you. It's been a while.
Damn it! Ron Burgundy too hard to the sun.
Too hard to the sun. Too close to the sun.
No, I did it too hard. I could feel it.
That's what she said.
Okay.
Warning, while we may be your silly gal pals, we don't recommend listening to this podcast around little ears or ears that may be offended because we say bad words and shitty things. Now relax those shoulders, unclench those jaws, clench that clam, and let's get into it.
Chapter 41. Bryce Dannon, queen of the Valbarra Fae, made quite the entrance, so much so that it brought Hunty Boy to tears. Bryce tried vouching for Theory and say that he serves her. The Ocean Queen, the OQ if you will, wasn't having it. So Bryce continued on explaining her recent whereabouts and how the Asteri are poisoning the waters. Now the OQ didn't seem shocked by this, nor did she like it, but she wanted to know Bryce's plan, which was in fact to take out the Asteri. The OQ wasn't confident in her abilities and thinks she will need an army, and nay, she would not be providing it. The new queen of the Valbarra Fae lets her know that she's allies with Hell, and she does trust them, which once again, the OQ thinks is a dumb move. Oh, and Bryce requests an underwater Uber ride to the Velen because she needs to do some research. Insert OQ eye roll. She does ask Bryce if she thought of an evacuation plan and at least trying to get some out, but Bryce is like, absolutely not. We save everyone or no one. The OQ gives us the tea that the kingdom was vaster than she can imagine before the Asteri came there. That's what she said. Entire islands withered into the sea in despair and taking the very heart of this world with it. The very heart of the mare. Bryce was like, come again? That's what she said. I thought only humans were here. And the Ocean Queen sets the record straight that they have always been there. Midgard has always had magic. Bryce is like, cool. You guys have suffered the most. I'm still not only going to help a select few. You're a coward for not fighting. Ocean Queen is like, ugh, annoying. I'll take you to Velen, but that'll be my last gift. Oh, and P.S., when you fail, make sure you take as many people as possible. Okay, thanks.
Do you think with all of Bryce's smartass remarks that it's just her being a dick or her anxiety, like faking it until she makes it, where she's like unclear about the shit that just came out of her mouth? That's what she said. Because I would have said wildly inappropriate things. Like, I do it all the time when I'm nervous.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both. Combination. It's a combination, if you will. The queen of spinning bullshit. It's just one of her gifts given to the mother. But I do feel like she is a bit of a Michael Scott, is where she doesn't know what she's saying and she just hopes that the sentence finds a way by the end. And it usually does.
Well, it's the whole fake it till you make it. Like, I feel that.
Yeah, like I do understand it. Sometimes I'm just like, what am I even saying?
It said, I did not come here to be ordered about by an imposter queen. And I just want to point out that there was an imposter queen once before. Aelin was making a comeback that she didn't know about and heard about it when she was Selena in Throne of Glass.
It's always full circle with these Maasverse stories. So the Ocean Queen said there was this line of her kingdom was vaster than she can imagine before the Asteri came there. Entire islands withered into the sea in despair and taking the very heart of this world with it. Now we have our theory that Midgard, and at the very least the Throne of Glass world, is the same world. Or it's a multiverse and they share the same space, but they're separated by time. We'll add more to this theory with the ACOTAR world when we do our deep dive. But we have mentioned that we don't think it was a coincidence that Sarah chose the names Valbarra and Pangea, which are very similar to Valbarra, same word, and Pangea, the two supercontinents that broke apart on Earth and made the continents that we have today. We know that there are islands that have sunk here on Earth, and they're even more in danger. So it's not a stretch to think that with all the time in between Tog and Midgard, the islands could sink. So the two maps, even though SJM purposely doesn't show us shit, would be different. It's actually confirmation that they would be different. So when we're thinking about islands, I'm like, Is it out by School's Bay? Is it the Dead Islands? Like, what do you think sunk?
Great question.
Thank you.
I just fucking deleted the maps off my monitor, so I wanted to look real fast.
Or is it like large islands?
Great question. Just because like they come back up at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Chapter 42. The gang regrouped now that they were all together again, and Bryce made quite an entrance. Everyone was there except that goober Ethan, who was still on land. Bryce asked where Rune was, but he was with Lydia. But Starborn siblings can sense each other because him and his weird hand showed up just then, all as good as can be in the hood. Bryce gives the lowdown of the celestial conquistadors being parasitic pricks, everything except about the mask and trove. The prison boys fill Bryce in on their rough situation. Bryce is rightfully grossed out and needs 10 minutes. Hunt checks in on her and blames himself for all this, but Bryce is like, excuse me, loser says what? Because you warned us, and we did it anyway. He is trying to bear all the weight and reminds her that she didn't see her friends get carved apart. They both have trauma they need to deal with, and this conversation is going nowhere. Hunt changes the subject to Avalon being their new destination. Hunt has his reservations that the fucking dork king Morvin will let them in, but Bryce stole more than the Thotham King's pride. She also stole his burn book.
I called it that because I definitely was like, his burn book in my head.
I mean, his gift is fire.
Ooh, look at you.
They're wild though. They both went through some insanely traumatic shit and they just like expected to be like immediately A-okay. They have like different types of trauma that you can't even begin to compare. They're both still running on high emotions since this is the first time that they've seen each other safe. It's going to take a minute or two for Bryce and Hunt to really just like get it together, or they just need to bang it out. That'll solve a lot.
I'm always team banging it out. You know this. It could probably solve the world's problems. I need to preface that I love Bryce. Top FMC. But I'm now remembering a little bit of why in the second half of this book, I had a hard time with her the first time I read it. Because it's not the Pain Olympics. But this is now the second time Hunt has been tortured close to death, on top of watching your friends go through it. While what Bryce went through was no doubt terrifying, it's psychologically just not the same. Like, it's not. He's having to watch people in pain. And yes, she's by herself, but I'm just like, Bryce.
You didn't watch your friend chew your other friend's hand off, girlfriend.
Like, you're never going to be okay after that. I'm sorry. I'm still not okay from reading it.
Therapy for everyone. That's actually ACOTAR book 6, where Sarah Janet, it's just a healing book for all of us.
Mel Robbins is like making cameos. Let them, let them chew off your friend's hand. Let them.
Here's some breathing techniques.
Mm-hmm. Chapter 43. Awkward alert. Lydia was in the same room as her sons, their adoptive parents, and the principal for their first meeting. There was worry in the air that Lydia would take the boys from their fathers, but Lydia and the principal both explained that she still has work to do, and she doesn't know if her work will ever be over, but she'd like to see them again. Bran was like, oh, you mean you work as the hind? Which, of course, Lydia was shooketh. He goes on telling her, girl, we have TV here. We didn't know who you were. We didn't know you were our birth mom, but we know who the hind is and who you work for. Lydia tells him she works for the Ocean Queen and Ophion. But Actaeon ain't having it. He's like, nah, you work for the Asteri and kill rebels. And drops the bomb that he knows Pollux is her fuck buddy. God, awkward. The principal tries to be like, okay, maybe this is enough for the day. Bran is pissed Ace is being such a dick, and their dads yell at them and apologize to Lydia. Lydia says she understands and thanks them for raising them.
What a fucking awkward ass meeting.
I hate it. Like,
it's a very painful, realistic-ish, because shifters aren't real people, so that's why I say ish.
Yeah.
In case you guys were wondering.
They're not? Wow. Day for me.
It said Bran, golden-haired and blue-eyed, wearing forest green t-shirt and jeans with holes in the knees, held her stare. The fucking forest green t-shirt? Like, I'm sure was actually terracin green. Like,
Mhm.
fuck the name, hair, and eye color relevance. Like, it's all about what he's wearing.
But like even the black t-shirt, dark hair, golden eyes, given that witchy, Valgy Void side. But I know we just said fuck the eye color, but because you're right, the green is the most important, obviously. But it says brand whose eyes glowed with inner fire, fearless, reckless, a natural leader. Okay, Avi Galathinius. But then she says, pure power glimmered in his eyes. The thoughtful, quiet, stoned Brand's wildfire. Who do you think of with that?
With the pure power.
Mm-hmm.
Why? I go to Rhys immediately when I think of pure power.
Or Dorian.
Yeah. Those dark haired hotties.
Yeah. And I mean, Dorian is very, very distant, but still, it's got that G blood in him.
That G blood. Galathinius, gangster. Who's to say?
It's the same thing. Everyone knows that.
You're right. You know what? You're right.
Thank you. Renicky follows Lydia out of the room and tells her he's sorry, and he didn't know until today who she was. She gets a little bit more info about how they grew up, and he gives her his contact info and tells her he'll work on Ace for her. After walking away, a messenger delivers a summons to her from the Ocean Queen. The Ocean Queen didn't seem impressed. She left her posts and brought fugitives to the ship. OQ worries that the Asteri will start poking around, so she said, and isn't something she's into. The OQ gives her orders that she will be leaving the ship when her friends do as well. And Lydia is obviously devastated to leave her sons again, but the Ocean Queen doesn't give a care and seems gleeful with how much Lydia loathes her.
So Lydia compares her sons, saying they're like the sun and moon then. And okay, Deanna, goddess of moon, and Mala, firebringer, goddess of the sun. Nice comparison there.
It truly, it is though. Both sides.
That is a little like hidden
Well,
clue. But you know, SJM doesn't plan shit out.
wait, let me eye roll really dramatically. Ugh. Lydia was striking out left and right with her run ins with people. Things weren't great with Rune either. Lydia was big mad, and she had every right to be because Rune is a dumbass. He has to know her sob story, and she told him that he doesn't deserve to hear it. Amen, sister.
He was thinking like, what happened? Who was the father? How did you wind up here? And Rune was being such a butthole and didn't give her the opportunity to speak. It was like, you lost the opportunity to know. You've been a dick to her. You've cut
Such a
her off many times.
And then it's so annoying because if this was a woman, we would have the answers to these questions. It's like when John hears gossip and then he doesn't ask up follow-up questions. Like when he's like, oh, so and so's getting a divorce. And I'm like, why? What's happening? And he's like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, God, you're fucking stupid.
I trained Ryan really well. Like I sent you a screenshot of him eavesdropping on somebody's breakup in the airport across the country. Like I'm so proud of him.
You know, it's taken 15 years, but you've done a good job with him.
He can take really good photos, really flattering photos, and he eavesdrops correctly. Proud of him.
Okay, but Ryan's always had a little gossip queen in him. He loves to gossip.
Oh yeah, he's a big fan of Speak the Phone. Big fan.
Mm-hmm. It's nice though.
Chapter 44. Ethan was working for our girl Jessica when she got a call and they needed to make an appearance elsewhere. She ordered Ethan to grab the loaded Godslayer on the way out, the same one that took out that twat Micah. They took a nice stroll but finally arrived and saw the astronomer, who took a finger pointing lesson from Nesta and pointed to Ethan saying, "You're dead. Bing, bing, bang."
I'm never going to live that.
Absolutely not. And sometimes I just think about it. But the other day I fucked up making fun of you in my own head. I was like, bing, bang, bang.
Just for the record, guys, I meant to say bada bing, bada boom, but then I go bing, bing, bang.
It's my favorite thing, truly. Jessica, being the cool gal she is, asked him, "What's the prob, Bob? The astronomer is in no mood for his gans to be shenanigans." Jessica tells him the matters between the sprites and the drag have been settled. He starts hemming and hawing when Hypatia walks in, telling him the Fenrir heir is no longer his forever. Sucks to suck, loser. I wrote this a while ago. The astronomer was in no mood for his scans to be shenaned.
I didn't, and then it was the hemming and hawing for me that I just wasn't, it was a lot.
Sucks to suck, loser.
I mean, it does for those people.
So Ethan was carefully setting down a figurine of Cthona giving birth on all fours, the planet Midgard crowning between her legs. Cthona is featured in several different positions throughout Crescent City, in statues, statuettes, or figurines. What?
In my head, I'm instantly like, what's your favorite position? Cool, that's your favorite, not my favorite, but I'll do it for you. Sorry.
Sarah Janet is a big Tenacious D fan.
Loves Tenacious D, but the fact that there's a fucking statue with like Midgard coming out of her vagine is wild.
And Ethan's just packing it up.
Sorry. I'll be quiet now.
So one of the statues we see is of Solus, I almost said Stolus, of Solus and Cthona portrayed as a son with male features bearing his face and a pair of mountain-shaped breasts. The holy image was known simply as the embrace. The simplified version is a circle nestled atop two triangles as a silver pendant. There is a reclining statue of Cthona, the earth goddess, naked and awaiting the embrace of her lover, Solus, not to be confused with any other lovers.
Naturally.
There's a statuette of Cthona carved from black stone. In one arm, the goddess cradled an infant to her bare breast. In the other, she extended an orb, Midgard out into the room, Cthona, birther of worlds. So in ACOTAR, on the mantle at Nesta's old home, half hidden in the shadows beside a figurine of a supple-bodied female, her upraised arms clasping a full moon between them, some sort of primal goddess, perhaps even the mother herself. So we saw that statue. In Crescent City, Celestina had a lush-bodied sculpture of Cthona. Celestina herself was described as might have been Cthona herself, voluptuous and full-bodied. So this supple-bodied figurine could be Cthona. Is Nesta sure it was a moon, or was it a world? Is it a disc like we see in Throne of Glass when Selena was at Mistward? And it said, Selena quickly looked away from the two females in the center, one crowned with a star and armed with a bow and quiver, the other bearing a polished bronze disc upheld between her raised hands. She could have sworn she felt them watching her. Was the full moon actually a moon, or was it a disc similar to the many statues of Cthona holding a world?
I don't know.
Why not?
I don't know.
And Cthona has a dark crown. Don't forget that. More on Cthona later.
I will not. And I still stand by Cthona is the mother and chaos. Thank you. That's all.
Hard agree. It said, Jessica shrugged, the matter of the sprites and the dragon has been settled between us. Why is Jessica so willing to take on debt for people? She is a terrifying kind of bitch.
I love her so much. Like, she just doesn't care. She's a badass. But now I want to go back to Cthona and all these statues of her. Like, do you think that she was like, Titanic, like, paint me like one of your French girls? And like, that's how she has all these naked, full-bodied, in compromising positions. And she's like, now watch me if I have earth in between my legs. Now watch me, look at my boobs. Like, here, you can do a motorboat. Like, she just really was feeling herself. The mother.
She's the OG OnlyFans star. Totally.
Truly.
She was like, I'm feeling myself today. Fucking carve me.
Mm-hmm. Like, just think about all these little fae boys. They're growing up, and they're jacking off to Cthona statue.
Cthona giving birth to the Midgard. Yeah, that does it for me. No wonder these motherfuckers have the weirdest kinks.
Yeah, they're like getting off to Cthona in all of her weird positions.
It was dinner time for our gang, and that's where they were discussing their Avellan trip. Flynn warns them of the murder twins who can read minds, and they do not ask permission. Rune tells them that you have to be vigilant at all times, and Morvin is who they obey. The Mists also obey him, so they will ring him on the Mist phone and let him know who has arrived. Bryce is really banking on her hot dad's diary. Rune asks why the Cave of Princes and what is the portal to nowhere stuff. Bryce just says there could be some information there. Flynn warns that they cannot stay long. They plan to go in 2 groups when they go, Team Archives and Team Caves. Bryce and Team Caves are warned that the caves will try and confuse them, but there are carvings throughout, including the burial chamber. Lydia informs them that she is joining their party too. She needs to figure out how to stop the most recent version of the pilotless mech suits, says the Ocean Queen, but she knows it's not happening, so she will hang with the gang.
Flynn says, I'm telling you, every time I've been on the island, it's my magic. It makes my magic unhappy. It literally shrivels up and dies when I'm there. Now, Flynn has earth magic with an emphasis on plants. So with that being said, why do you think this is the case? You know, it's misty. The layer is thin, making it closest to other realms. What is it closest to? What is killing it?
I wonder if it's the mist itself, or, I mean, what if his magic is directly from Cthona, the earth goddess,
Mm-hmm.
and she doesn't like the mist?
She doesn't fuck with the mists over there.
She's like, you know what? You go there. I'm taking your magic. That's it. That's how they figured it out.
Like, they have none of my point statues there. So, okay.
Yeah, she's really upset. So that's how she punishes them. She's like, you cannot get Wi-Fi. You're going to have to buy more statues.
Therian says he has to stay on the boat and pray to Ogenis. Ogenis, the keeper of mysteries. If there was a god to beg for knowledge, it would be her. And side note, Ogenis means goddess of wisdom in Arabic. Now I'm just thinking of our Throne of Glass friends and who that would be. And the clear option that we've talked about in prior coverage is Tehom. Did I say that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. The Lady of the Great Deep, the goddess of the ocean. My question is for you. Do you feel like the Ocean Queen is actually Ogenis? She's said to be Ogenis's daughter. She imbues her power and gifts into her boats. Asteri have that capability. And then when Hunt asked Therian if he had an in with the Ocean Queen, he was like, the Ocean Queen might as well as asked if I could have an in with Ogenis herself. Then a bit later was described with ageless, pitiless eyes. I just think there's more to her. And like, how do we know that's not just Ogenis reincarnated? She's been there.
Her rebrand.
Yeah, she rebranded. She's like, Ogenis, no, we're going to go with the OQ.
She wanted queen in her title.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't blame her. Like, now she rules all of the water.
I just think that there's more to her. And I don't, she just has an obscene amount of power.
Why is there an ocean queen but not a land queen? Because allegedly, you know, the humans didn't have power. Why did the water? But the land did, but humans didn't, the ocean did, and ocean had beings that had magic, but the land didn't. Like, once again, there's more to this fucking land. There's more library parthos.
Yes.
They go hand in hand because, you know, Jessica.
Yeah, I got it.
Bryce and Lydia talk to the sprites about searching for the not quite known whereabouts of the Sprite Queen. At first, they are a little pissed Lydia lost Erithus, but Lydia explains that, like the sprites locked in a ring, she has been locked inside a crystal ball and is a little overwhelmed. They agree to find her. Afterwards, Bryce checks in on Lydia, and of course, she's an I'm fine gal. Bryce thanks her for saving her people, and she's like, no biggie, and extends an olive branch, letting her know that they could be friends since she's just a door away. And I'm like rooting for this friendship. I'm like, fuck yeah, cool gal.
Such a girl's girl. Like, she went out of her way for Hypaxia. She's going out of her way for Lydia, and is like, I don't care what this bitch has done in the past, and is being nice to her, and Rune's such a fucking idiot.
I am 100% positive that I say Bryce is a girl's girl at some point later. And this is
sorry.
No, why are you watching? It just emphasizes how true it is.
She's just a girl's girl, you know? Like,
I want to be friends with her.
Yeah, she's a good one. You know, she'd have your back.
For sure.
And she's like not judgmental. Obviously, she hangs out with fucking idiots all the time. These boys are dumb.
Yeah, Ethan and Therian. Like, love Therian way more than Ethan, but big friend. Big friends, big fan.
And he continues to make terrible fucking choices. Can't wait to see what else he does.
We get right into it.
Yeah, we have two. This he's got two terrible choices in this fucking episode. Chapter 45. The astronomer was put in his place real quick by Hypaxia, saying he has no legal grounds, and then Jessica got rid of him by saying she would pay him 10 million gold marks for the loss of his mystic. So the stringy-haired astronomer left the room, but not without mean-mugging everyone first. Jessica wanted to know why Hypaxia was hella late to get to her. She needed her necromancer services. Hypaxia fills them in on Morganthia Dragus, and her coven staged a coup, and she's no longer the queen of the Valbarran witches. And to escape them, she has sworn fealty to the House of Flame and Shadow.
It said that Jessica was able to clear the crowd without so much as a word, was testament to her grip on this place, this house, and I aspire to be that level of terrifying, truly.
You're well on your way.
In my house?
In
Sure
your
am.
house you are. With your husband specifically.
My kid's like, get out of here. I don't want to hang out with you.
Your kid doesn't give a care. Ryan's like, bye. Lydia made a point to say goodbye to her boys before leaving for Avellan, and it didn't go super great, but better than last time. Ace, still not a big fan, but she was able to explain that she didn't have a choice leaving them and has thought about them every single day. She gives the boys an heirloom from her father's household, her ruby ring, and she was able to say goodbye.
I'm going to take a really big swing here. Okay, Ace is a male Kraken, and Bran takes after Brandon. You know? Split him up. Half witch,
Yep.
half Galathinius line.
Yeah, he's got that, maybe some man in.
Got
Crockett
that one in him.
got that man in him. Man in him? That sounds not good for a child. Okay? I need you to stop.
Manon, Blackfeet, because it's not Manon.
I know. I'm not saying Manon. Can't make me. But Rowan's ring makes another appearance. And I just want to say hi. Hi, Rowan's ring.
We're just saying we see you.
We see you. We know you're there. Hypaxia spills the tea on how she got ousted. Morganthia had her forces surround her and said, yield the Cloudberry crown or die. She yielded the crown, but they or die. Ethan is like, what the hell? Can they do that? And Jess was like, yepers. Hypaxia goes on that her ghost tutors are no longer, and Jespa tells her that she needs to stop focusing on them and worry about her people. Oh, and she should have fought. Hypaxia isn't interested in being on the Judge Jespa show and gets a little testy with her. Judge Jespa tells her she's second in command at the House of Flame and Shadow, so she will shush up and listen. I don't know why I said shush up. The girly pups start fighting, but Ethan tries to get them back on track. Hypaxia says she will try to help him, but she needs to go swear an oath first. Jespa starts gossiping to Ethan about Hypaxia and Celestina and how that relationship imploded. She tells him that she was a dum-dum and should have attacked, but it was her mom's fault for isolating her for all those years. They keep chit-chatting, and then she goes into her and Adis and their friendship of sorts, and how Apollyon sent him to spy on her. She pays the astronomer so much because she wants him to find a way to not have a grip on her soul, so she can say sayonara when the time comes. P.S. The astronomer is a shifty motherfucker. She also spills the tea about how the wolves were bred by the Asteri and essentially took Danica out because she was too powerful, and just like Miley, she can't be tamed. Story time was interrupted by a phone call. Hypaxia is done in record time and is down in the morgue waiting for him with Sigrid's corpse.
It says you should have Jessica shot back, dark fire flashing in her eyes, a seed of Apollyon's power transformed into something new. It was interesting looking up to see if anyone else had dark fire in their eyes. And in chapter 6 of A Court of Silver Flames, it says, dark fire simmered in Morgan's eyes. I knew plenty of people like you once. Why is Mor the only one out of all the Maasverse that had dark fire in her eyes?
And that's essentially or allegedly a seed of Apollyon's power.
We're so curious about Mor. And Apollyon's power could have been obviously Hell's power or Asteri power, unclear of which Jessica got.
Or she could have got both. Like she
Yeah.
could have her of some of the darkness from Napoleon's and then like her glowing that feels like Sirius's.
Hey, their powers made something new.
Yeah. And then we got this badass bitch that we love and I want to gossip with. Could you imagine that gossip session?
Oh my, she's got all the tea.
Like 15,000 years worth.
Crypt Keeper for sure.
Totally. But I don't know what that, the Morgan, shifty. We know she's got that witch in her, but like, where's she
Well,
come from?
witches come from Valg,
Right?
and Valg and Asteri are adjacent.
And the Princess of Hell seem a little valgy. So,
Very suspicious.
hmm I have a lot of questions about the astronomer. One, why doesn't he wash his hair? Like, somebody get him dry shampoo. Stringy hair is just not for me. He was human, but so much foul magic tainted his soul. Who is he? And how did he get a drag? Like, who is this guy?
Like, why is he dabbling with foul magic? And what kind of foul magic? The Valg magic? Is he corrupted? More thoughts on that word later.
Mhm.
So, yeah, who is the astronomer?
And how do
What
you
if
just
he's a former priest?
mm, the human? I see. I see where you're going there.
Kind of like Jessica, but like
Mhm.
dabbled too much in word marks. Because there's all that mysterious writing in his, I almost said laboratory. It's not where he works.
Welcome to Dexter's laboratory.
That was my first thought too. Was Dexter of all
What?
people?
What is it? What do you say? Welcome to Dexter's laboratory. How may I help you? Titi, get out of my room.
Now you have to do. You sound like Baby Gru more than anything. Like you sound like Gru as a child. So please continue to read this episode as a
Is,
villain.
is this like my Italian nose? Are you making fun of it? I'm Baby Gru.
No.
So when Jessica says the Fendirs have been carefully cultivated line for this dairy, I think it's something we need to think about across all of the series. We know the Valg and Throne of Glass were super into breeding. I mean, the witches, other Valg, etc. In CC, we know that Hunt is a demon test tube baby. The Steri created archangels. And ACOTAR, we know the Daglin created Illyrian. Who else has been bred? And I think the answer is Starborn, like I said in the last episode. Maybe the Steri knew of Aelin and her ancestry with her powers from her aunt. Hold on, now are they? And they wanted to recreate it. So enter in Thea. Once again, Asteri means star, born of a star, starborn. Vespris being Thea's mistress and creator really makes me feel like that feels plausible to me. Vespris even trained her. So tell me who carefully curated Rhysand? I have mentioned before, his power is cold, much like the Prince of Hell. We had that one comment from Napoleon of like, and others like you. You know what I'm talking about? Like, he
Not to
has,
be confused with the Adele song.
yeah, which
Someone like you.
banger. He has their shadow power. He has their shadow power in Daemati, and then he also has Starlight that seems to come from Thea and Celine's line, but his seems to be so much stronger than everybody else's. Who was Rhys's mom, really? Who is his hell daddy? I want to know.
His Hell Daddy. That makes me think like just a Mad Max character. Like he's gonna
Yes.
come in on
Mhm.
some like busted ass Jeep
Right.
with spikes on his neck and his hair.
Yeah, with
That's Reese's dad.
the most beautiful High Lord in existence.
Just this
That's his hell
fucking
daddy.
trash bag. No thoughts.
Cool, cool. Mhm.
It said Ethan reeled, "I'm nobody," and Jessica gave him a disdainful look, but her phone rang before she could answer him. Is Ethan gonna have a bigger story next book? Like, fuck. He's got boss bitch blood, and we know it. Him and his bad decision making buddy Therian in House of Many Waters, they're just gonna tear it up.
Like, you're gonna make me suffer through a book about Ethan.
We're not covering that.
We just skip all of Ethan's chapters. Oh, that's so weird.
We missed those chapters, didn't even know they existed.
No.
Chapter 46. The weather was shitty, and it was the same mist Bryce saw at the bone quarter that surrounded Avellin. There's a barrier underwater and the mists above, the most effective worldly-sized condom we have ever seen the likes of. The sprites were fucking out of there soon as they were out of the submarine, so we don't see them for a while. They were just fucking out. I was thinking of Kenny Powers.
The birds are fucking out of there, but like they're fucking out.
Rune shows up a little later than Bryce, Hunt, and Baxi Boy. Turns out Flynn and Deck need waffles. Likely Mickey Mouse shaped. It's giving cruise vibes, all you can eat buffet. Important info in the grand scheme of things. Therian decides to join the party too, and Lydia, because we know she's been given the boot. Normally, you need an invite from Morvin, but Rune lets them know that the Star Sword grants them special privilege to enter. A triangle of a door slid open, and they were greeted by Morvin's voice. Bryce is just the best. I love that she was originally perceived as this party girl that loves drugs and hoe life, and she did. But she has grown to be such a great character. Like, her checking on Lydia multiple times, like, her heart is as big as her butt.
My Michael Scott thing really is perfect for her.
It really stuck. Because it's like what flashes in my mind when I think about how big her heart is.
Yeah. Big butt, even bigger heart.
You weren't wrong. Thank you.
You're welcome.
A triangle of a door like the one in Celine's caves had slid open. This being similar to the door in the caves makes the mist so interesting. Like, how are the Fae able to create these special Alice in Wonderland doors?
They must have had a door guy, like how Leslie Knope has so many people on standby. Yeah, door guy. So stupid. But
we need a door. I got the door, Tor.
Yes! I got the door, Tor. The way that fucking line has stayed with me all of those years, and I think it in my head once a week. I got the door, Tor. Why?
All the time. Every time, if I say I got the door, immediately.
Door. This is what I'm going to say about the triangles. It's kind of funny because we have the triangle doors that their door guy made, right? But how is Cthona described in some of them? Her little triangle mountain tits.
Good old triangle tits, Cthona.
But what if you go inside, like Soulless, and that's...
Bryce was just channeling Soulless. Entering.
Yep. Sometimes she lets the door guy come in too.
Truly, that's what she said? So are we writing a porn again?
As
in an episode that sounded like it. We have not wrote a porn together, just to be clarified, or separate.
Nope, not separate either. Just want that to be known. Little hotos over here, maybe, but So Bryce makes the comment that are thin places in between the worlds, and it makes you wonder about like the prison and like, are they like halfway in, halfway out? Just the tip, see how it feels?
We know that doors in Prithian can lead to elsewhere, like for the caves and stuff, so why not? Truly, why the fuck not?
And then like, Celine's little in a Velen I go, that's maybe she just goes back and forth.
Like, how easy is it for Bryce to open the doorway to Nesta's home? God, what a terrible house guest.
Truly.
Bryce shows the fuck up. No phone call first. No warning.
Like, what a boomer energy.
With her parents. I mean, we'll get into it, but oh my God. But as I was saying, she can just open the door to people's homes. So, like, why not? Maybe she knows the door guy.
She probably does know the door guy. And the door guy's like, God, another portal I have to create. Like, it's just this big thing for him. I feel bad for him.
He's got a lot of work. He's a busy guy, but you know what? Good for him. His business is booming in the Lunathian economy.
Mm.
Okay, we know that Morvin is the Stag King. And so the hair on Bryce's arm rose as the white boat, the opposite of those the black dock sailed out. The arching prow had been carved like a stag's head, twin lanterns hanging from the branches of its mighty horns. It's interesting that the docks would be opposite of one another. I mean, obviously they are different continents, but just to have polar opposites of color, it's almost like the thin places could lead you to different places.
Yeah. And like the in-between realms, like, are the gods protecting them?
Is one of them the doorway to the gods?
Mm.
But it became corrupted. Once again, that word is really sticking with me, and I will get to why.
Then, like with mist, it's always misty by rifts. So where's this rift? Prince of Caves, perhaps? Who's to say?
Therian had FOMO and said, nah, fuck it, and ran onto the boat knowing damn well another boss bitch was about to be mad at him. He made it through the mist just in time to be protected from the Ocean Queen. Truly the king of terrible decisions, and it only gets worse.
He's like on a roll. He's on a bender. He can't stop. Just spiral.
Yeah, he's in a manic event.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. He's entered mania and he hasn't left it. So we're seeing that. And then book 4 is Therian's therapy journey.
Do we think Ethan will level out? Or he'll always be a whiny bitch?
I think he's always going to be a whiny bitch. We know Kale is the entire time. I don't fucking like him. You know, Adian sucks.
Adian does suck, yeah.
No growth there. No fucking growth there.
Chapter 47. You know? You want to do it? Chapter 47? Down in the morgue, they were chilling with a headless Siggy. Hypatia looked like a tired gal, but she got to work by sewing the wolf's head back on with help from her green light coming from her fingies.
Her fingies?
Yeah.
You just felt it. You're like, this is right.
I'm just vibing. I'm vibing over here, you know?
You're vibing to fingies. No?
Little fingies.
What she said.
You know?
Hypatia had greenish light wreathed around her fingers as she approached the table holding a bundle in her hands. Reminder of what I said in chapter 62 of Crescent City. I was talking about how the Underking lifted a bony hand and an eerie greenish light wreathed his fingers. Ethan could have sworn ancient strange symbols swirled in that light. So it makes me think of this from chapter 10, A Throne of Glass. The fire in the throne room had something greenish about the flame, something that made her spine straighten. Another time when Selena approached the throne as the victor, a greenish fire burned in the mouth like fireplace. Reminder, in chapter 31, when Ethan arrives at the House of Flame and Shadow in the Hall of Black Stone, lit by crackling fire and hearths shaped by roaring fanged mouths. So mouth like fireplaces yet again. Interesting relation. And I'm going to bring this back up again next chapter, but I didn't want to blow my whole load yet.
Well, you're a liar because you wrote chapter 58 and next chapter's 48. So once again.
No, I'm bringing this specifically up in chapter 58.
Oh, okay, fine. Then I take back.
Greek Light 58 Shadows is next.
Gotcha. Oh, God, she really blows her load. Back in Novellin, we're in Morby's throne room. That doesn't at all remind us of Terrasen. So King Morv is real mad for Bryce bringing traitors and enemies of the Empire to his home. Bryce tells him to shut it, and the murdered twins appeared out of nowhere, and they seem fun. Oh, and they have Sathia, Flint's sister, with them. So Morvin's throne. A throne seemingly crafted from a single set of antlers. The beasts who grew them had to have been colossal, the likes of which didn't exist on Midgard. Did stags that big roam there? Is what Bryce is wondering. So we know Terrason's throne was also made of antlers. The king ruined the OG one, but they built a new one for Aelin. And when it comes to how are these antlers so big, that is because they're from the immortal stags from the Oakwood Forest. Just getting a little, why is that throne there? Is it the same?
They just really liked the thoughts of sitting on skulls.
The Skull King. Skull Island. King Kong lives there.
Well, we do have Sasquatch.
Tamlin, yes.
Why can't we have King Kong? You know, who's going to be Godzilla? Maybe that's who Therian turns into. The Lizard King.
What is the Lizard King?
Therian the Lizard King. Lizard Mermaid.
Yep.
Is Godzilla part mermaid considering he like swims so much? Could he be part mare?
Sure.
Thank you. You know, big dreams.
Yes. Yes.
On that note, I want to talk about Morvin's fit. Speaking of
Let's
Godzilla. What? No. I only am into the Thotham King. I know Morvin's ugly. He's ugly inside. Not that the Thotham King's pretty inside. So Morvin's fit. It said the delicate silver embroidery along the wrists and collar of his immaculately cut black jacket gleaming in the firelight. Have we seen this jacket before? Well, Feyre to Rhys in chapter 19 of A Court of Frost and Starlight. Don't sleep on this fucking book. She said, I glanced to him, my mate, in his finest black jacket, the silver embroidery gleaming in the Feylight. They're the same fucking jacket. Why is Morvi wearing Rhys's jacket?
Well, there's a couple things here that are interesting. First off, we know that Rhys's mom was quite the little seamstress. She made a lot of different things, right? There are the rumors. People believe that Rhys's mom or sister really aren't dead and that somehow Tamlin was able to get them out. Like, that's a theory. I'm not saying it's mine. And that's why Lauren, who's Rune's mom, looks so much like Rhys. So what if that really is mom and she was making jackets before she was exiled for the king, or I don't know. But I need you to know that this doesn't make sense to me because in my head, the Thotham King, I know you think he's hot, and Morven, I pictured the two kings, like the big fat king and the tall king from Sleeping Beauty every time. That's how I picture them. I do not picture them hot. I don't picture like one is fat and big and then big tall guy. The Thotham is the tall guy, if that makes you feel any better.
It doesn't.
Okay.
Because the Thotham King is hot. How dare you?
I bet.
Once again, shitty personality, great body.
But why do they have the same jacket?
I don't know. I just, once again, there's so many details in A Court of Frost and Starlight, not to be confused with the Cross of Frost and Starlight.
Yeah.
There's so many little details like this tying shit together, but like, I do have some thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts.
Are you not going to tell us?
I will next chapter.
Oh, okay. Can't wait for those thoughts.
Chapter 48, Get Used to My Voice.
Mm.
Variety is the spice of life, and Sadia Flynn was adding more spice to her life. Sadia was refusing to pay the piper being Morven, and her payment being her womb room to one of the murder twins. Apparently, single females running amok are abhorrent to Morvi, and Sadia has been single for too long. Flynn and Sadia's parents were cool to stay because old friends, you know? Flynn suggests her going back, but she can't because of Flynn helping Rune escape, and now their whole family is wanted by the Asteri. Sadia put in a call to Declan's family because she's a real one. Bryce tells Morvi she's there for access to the Avellan archives and the Cave of Princes. He tries to deny her, but she pulls out the Star Sword and Truth Teller. He is shocked at the audacity she has, but he knows his threat of calling the Asteri is idle because he does not want them there. She pulled out her hot dad's diary. Morvie is in a pickle and forced to let them do what they want, but Sadie is still a problem. Flynn was deemed a non-suitable babysitter for her. Therian, sweet dumb Therian, is like, I got you. Let's marry. I love that Bryce is such a girl's girl, sticking up for every gal pal. Her looking to Lydia to include her, like, warmed my little heart. But Lydia's, I never had anyone fight for me, makes me so sad, but, like, thrilled at everyone she's found.
Yeah, for Lydia. She's got some issues.
But this
There-
book of girl power.
I-
Minus Danica.
Sarah J. Maas is big on the girl power. Aelin and Lysandra, like, well, I guess Court of Silver Flames has more. There's less in Farah's.
Maybe that's the next. Well, Silver Flames, there's tons of girl power.
Right, that's what I said. Yeah,
Yeah.
that ton of
But
it
yeah, Farah,
has less.
like, she likes dick, you know?
And I'm down with that. I understand. I mean, Amryn and her do some
Get
shit.
better.
Yeah, but like more. What does she do?
What that boo do?
The voodoo.
We also learned naturally it took 7 hours, 7 minutes, and 7 seconds to race Sigurd, but yikes on bikes. Hypaxia, race a reaper. I just picture them so ugly. Like, I pictured like the toxic sludge from Roger Rabbit. Just, I don't know. That's the vibe that Reaper's giving me is Roger Rabbit.
Okay, I could see that.
Okay, guys, we are going to talk about shadows today, and it's an intro course, but it is a girthy one.
Love a girthy shadow.
Because I went through 771 references between all of Crescent Cities, ACOTAR, and Throne of Glass. So there's a lot of things about shadows. So SJM says here about the Stag King. The King shadows, the murder twins, they felt different from runes, wilder, meaner. Runes' shadows were gentle, stealthy night. Theirs were the dark of lightless caves. This really piqued my curiosity on the differences between theirs and runes, but then I thought about how their shadows stack up against Rhys and Azriel. But there are even more shadows to the Maasverse too. So part 1 of this, Throne of Glass. It starts with Cain. He was referenced as being no more than shadow and wind. It also said shadows seemed to leak from him, flowing onto the stones and the windows and the walls like spilled ink. Shadows rippling off at him in the in-between fighting Selena when Elena was there. They were shadows in the gusting wind. This makes shadows seem darker, as if evil in a way, since we know Cain was using word marks to summon demons. While Selena was fighting old Babs, the woman went flying as though she were made of nothing but dust and wind, tumbling into the shadows between mirrors. Shadows and wind are frequently mentioned together, especially with the witches. Speaking of, the twins, Etta and Briar, Manon referenced them as shadows. They were raised in the darkness, similar to Az. But at their end, Manon said this about them: perhaps no longer shadows, but two faces of the moon, one dark, one light. Shadows and a moon reference? Hold on to that thought when we get to Rhys. Shadows at time are sentient, it seems. The shadows in the library of the castle are referenced as more alert. And then speaking of more alert, Irene identified that some shadows are sentient and a part of the Valg, aka parasites. It said that the Valg could summon shadows if they wish and hide within them, and those shadows could turn deadly in an instant. We saw this with Duva when shadows lashed from her, blasted around her, and slithered out of her lips. Another Valg, Maeve, had shadows that rose in a wave and had shadows that could devour. When Dorian was possessed by a Valg, shadows were in there, waiting in the darkness, and of course, not of this world, meant to fill him with primordial cold. So with the shadows so far, they seem to be associated with Valg, cold, wind, the moon maybe, and there is a snake reference when the shadow slithered out of Duva. Let's move on to part 2 with ACOTAR. Let's start with Rhys. First thing I notice is his shadows are mentioned more when he loosens the dampen on his power. A few examples. He loosened the damper on his power, and shadows were twining. Is it twining? Yeah. Were twining between the strands of his hair. Another one, he spoke again, as if the words tumbling out loosened his grip on his power. Talons of smoke curled over his fingers, and great wings of shadow spread from his back. And then another one, Rhys snorted, and shadows gathered around him as he loosened his grip on his power. His shadows were always on the verge of forming wings. They are constantly referenced together with stars and wind. And then Farah made a remark about him and Helion. If Rhys was a flying terror crafted from shadows and cold moonlight, Helion was his daytime equivalent. This one stuck with me since Manon later in Throne of Glass had referenced Edda and Briar, perhaps no longer shadows, but two faces of the moon, one dark, one light.
With me talking about Rhys with the shadows and the cold moonlight, we have moonlight, Selene, moon. It's all making sense. I'm loving this course. Checked in.
And
Ready
we know Runefire is cold too.
Yes.
Now on to Azrael. He is a shadow singer, and they are rare and coveted by courts and territories across the world for being stealthy and their predisposition to hear and feel things others can't. His shadows constantly whisper and murmur to him. Right off the bat, the way that they act are different and more sentient than Rhys's. Azrael's are always reading his neck and wrist, gathering on the tips of his wings. They also can protect him when he was strangling Eris. Perhaps those shadows now slid and eddied around the shadow singer, hidden from the wrath of the binding magic. And then they flow from him as smoke, can hide him and others, and they can look for things like the cauldron. Azrael's shadows and the wind recoiled from the cauldron singing. There's no mention of Rhys's reacting similar. Az himself was said to have a voice like shadows given form, dark, smooth, and cold, and like shadows given sound. In a Rhys point of view, he said this about Azrael's shadows: different from anything my powers summoned, spoke to, born in the lightless, airless prison meant to break in. They did not have an explanation for where his power came from. So are his shadows maybe a gift from the princes of hell? Which brings us back to Crescent City and part 3 of this course. Hell does have a presence in the shadows. The shadow smiled at Hunt when he was in the dungeon. It ended up being Adis. The shadows from Hell seem to be darker and older, described as death in the shadow. And then Rune and Cormac are really the only shadow wielders until Az joins the party in Book 3. Cormac's shadows are darker and more feral. Cormac's shadows were more darker and more feral than Rune's. They're described as untamed and like a stampede of stallions waiting to gallop over them. And when Bryce asked why they were different from Rune's, he never answered her, and now he never can. Rune didn't get the Thottim King's fire magic. He got more Avellan Fae magic than Valbarra. His shadows, similar to Azrael, can hide him from others and not sound, and they also whisper around him, and they seem to have a mind of their own. But then they aligned a little more with Rhys's. They swirled at his shoulders like a phantom pair of wings, similar to Rhys had a shadow pair spread from his back, and they gathered at his shoulders like a snake, ready to strike. When he wore his shadows to meet daylight, mind to mind, he was cloaked in stars and shadows. His shadows are described as more gentle, though, a stealthy knight. And in Crescent City, House of Flame and Shadow, Eshan was sure to let us know that Rhys was rippling with shadows and stars to let us know that they were all connected. And then Azrael's shadows obviously played a big part in this book too, but one of the most interesting references was Bryce saying she could have sworn his shadows hovered watching like curious snakes. Again, a snake reference with the shadows. In all 3 series, there's one. This brings me to Present and Morven. The King's shadows, the murder twins, they felt different from Rune's, wilder, meaner. Rune's shadows were gentle, stealthy night. Theirs were the dark of lightless caves. When the murder twins tried to go into their minds in the next chapter, Therian detected oily shadows creeping through, and that sounds similar to the incest twins trying to access Lucian and Tamlin's unprotected mind in ACOTAR. And then just in the last chapter, Hunt could have sworn Morvin's shadows hissed. This was after we saw them curl like snakes around Morby. And then in this chapter, it says his shadows returned, darkening the air behind his antlered throne until it seemed Morven sat before a void. Coming up in chapter 55, there's a comment about the shadows being corrupted and balking at runes. In comparing all these, are the Avellan shadows tamed or are they corrupted? Does Rune Starborn power protect him from his shadows being corrupted? At the beginning of A Court of Silver Flames, it describes Nesta in the cauldron, the cold of the gaps between the stars, the cold of a world before light, the cold of hell, true hell, she realized. And I think the shadows are corrupted by the Valg and Asteri, and that's why there is the association with dark wind and cold, similar to the witches, who we know are half Valg. There is the tide of cold, which is definitely a void darkness trait. There is so much more to these shadows.
Yes. It's definitely, the shadows are definitely like a void power. Like they come from him in my mind. And then Valg and Asteric both get it. It is interesting hearing all of this just due to like where we know runes starlight comes from, and they come from Peleus, which is a corrupted line. And also makes you wonder, like just my thoughts on the Steri created Starborn. So what else did they breed with? Like I just, there's a lot that just is like, what are they doing over there? What they creating?
Because we always want to like compare Cormac and Rune shadows to Azrael and Rhys's, and we did, and they're all so different. But because like there's traits from both Rhys and Azrael in kind of both.
Which makes you wonder, like, what were they bred for? Who bred, like, I just don't think it's just a simple, this was their mom and this, like, no, I think there was a hand in it because they wanted to win a war.
I agree. And like all the snake references are interesting just because we've talked about like snake references with Maeve and what's her butt? What's her butt?
Viper,
I was
Viper,
like the hottie from the meat market, but the vibe. And so all these snake references that seem to be Valgasteries associated, just peculiar.
I remember, I not remember exact specifics, but when we looked at mythology and stuff before, snakes are so prevalent, especially with Void Chaos and then like Ragnarok. It's like snakes are definitely a part of the void as well as spiders. It was a Midgard serpent, right? I can't
Right.
remember.
Yeah, coming back to snakes. One of the biggest ones we talked about.
Yeah, the big one. It was the middle child of Loki, the trickster god. So the fact that all of them have like snake references when it comes to shadows, it really just
So that's our course on shadows. A lot to it. I'll let y'all simmer on it.
let us know in the comments.
And then, we'll talk about this more once we get to the corrupted comments in chapter 55. But I had to reference it early because I went hard. That's what she said.
You did. You sure did. So, thanks for learning about shadows and giggling through our journey with us today. We have new episodes every Tuesday. Join us next week as we get into chapters 49 through 56.
Make sure you follow us on social media for all of our latest updates, theories, and more new book goofing. Don't forget to hit subscribe and give us a review wherever you listen. All links are in our info, you giggling gal pals. We will see you next week.